Okay, that was a whirlwind tour of the technologies of fuel cells, new paradigms in energy generation and distribution, as well as storage and electric vehicles merging with the energy generation and distribution. Okay, the principal attributes of this new paradigm we looked at are that the generation of electricity from diurnally varying and intermittent renewable and wind solar are here to stay as a part of the distributed energy generation. So intermittency requires energy storage to capture and later use energy from otherwise curtailed renewable resources. So curtailed because intermittency requires that they be part of a system that still provides reliably 24/7 load following energy. But how to accomplish that? We saw two main pathways. The integration and electrification of transportation as a challenging load on the one hand and a potential source for the grid to tap into for stored energy on the other hand. So there can be grid to vehicle transfer of energy, but when the vehicles are sitting around, there can also be vehicle to grid transfer of energy. And if there are sufficient number of vehicles that are able to quickly transfer back and forth, then obviously you have a huge room there in terms of using vehicles themselves as storage units as well as transportation units, but that also puts a huge challenge on the grid itself, right? A smart grid control and management in that case becomes very critical in this new paradigm. So two pathways are emerging as we saw, and they differ only in the need for fuel cell electric vehicles and the amount of energy storage required. Okay, so is this always able to be cranked up when needed, or is there a massive storage needed to hedge against intermittency and other seasonal transitions, etc. The need for 24/7 clean load following renewable power generation in order to manage the diurnally varying and intermittent renewables is argued to be one of the more reliable pathways by some people. So you have to deal with that. Okay. In terms of electric vehicles, under pathway 1, the opinion of many is that battery electrical vehicles are sufficient, and with advances in battery technology and energy density of the batteries will continue to increase. The charging time will dramatically decrease, and the weight will dramatically decrease to provide range, fueling time, and size provided historically by petroleum-fueled internal combustion engines. So people switch to SUVs, light-duty vehicles, pickup trucks, massive monsters like Chevy Suburban and so on, because of the ease with which you can fuel it, get the range, and drive off into wilderness. Whereas electric vehicles are not quite there yet, but if the energy density of the batteries goes up and the charging becomes fast enough, then we will get there soon enough. In pathway 2, others believe that while battery electrical vehicles have a role, fuel cell electric vehicles and plug-in fuel cell electric vehicles are needed to provide the range and refueling time to which the public is accustomed to with conventional gasoline and diesel internal combustion vehicles. So they still imagine this hybrid of fossil fuel and fuel cell, plug-in fuel cell technology. Fuel cell technology itself is also suitable for medium-duty vehicles such as delivery trucks. Imagine UPS, I think they're already planning that. And for heavy-duty vehicles, that is buses and large trucks. You already see liquid LPG, compressed natural gas buses. You will soon also begin, I think there are already electric buses, where battery electric vehicle technology is limited or insufficient. Okay. Energy storage. In pathway 1, the opinion of many is that electric storage, batteries, and pumped hydro are sufficient, And with advances in electric battery technology, the energy density will evolve to absorb the high levels of curtailed energy projected as the grid builds out. So as solar and wind begin to be bigger and bigger parts of the total energy production, curtailed energy levels will grow, and this pathway argues that they can effectively used to produce things like renewable hydrogen resource or hydrogen battery. In pathway 2, others believe that a renewable hydrogen battery is required. So this one is relying only on electric storage batteries and pumped hydro, whereas this one wants renewable hydrogen battery. To provide massive storage capability to complement electric batteries in absorbing the high levels of curtailed energy projected, buffer the self-discharging character of the electric batteries. So that's seen as a deficiency in the first pathway. Provide the capability of diurnal and seasonal shifts in energy stored in energy required. Provide zero carbon renewable hydrogen transportation fuel for powering fuel cells vehicles on the transportation sector. 24/7 clean load following power generation argues that in pathway 1, the opinion of many is that technology advances in electric batteries will provide, along with vehicle to grid transfer, the energy storage and ramping to manage and buffer the variability of solar and wind, and thereby render 24/7 clean load following power generation unnecessary. In pathway 2, others believe power generation will be required that is clean, that is emitting neither GHGs nor criteria pollutants 24/7 and load following, to complement and buffer the variability of solar and wind and achieve the goal of reliable, resilient, 100% renewable grid and 100% renewable transportation system. So here are the pathway 2, where we looked at the microgrid and even a nanogrid with hydrogen being produced locally, merged transportation fleet with independence for utility, independent system operators, consumers, and of course the electrolysis production of hydrogen being piped and supplied for refueling vehicles along with fossil fuels. Okay, whether pathway 1 or pathway 2 or another form is realized in the decades to come will depend upon factors such as the evolution and practice of technology, market dynamics, and social dynamics, that is public support and acceptance to the pathways, the impacts of climate change and degraded air quality, and policies of the world's governments. Okay, there is the pathway 1, which basically includes central and distributed generation with local grids, storage, renewables, hydro, nuclear being part of it, and the system we started with. And pathway 2, where we had grid structure that's different, with hydrogen being part of the stationary fuel cells that support distributed generation and help to deal with load fluctuations and demand changes and reliability, making sure 24/7 and seasonal transitions. Okay, so looks like there are a lot of details, but mainly there are lots of options which have to kind of emerge as dominant. Maybe not one pathway will emerge everywhere. May depend on contribution of renewables possible, like California is good for solar, Texas is good for wind, elsewhere neither may work, or maybe some will do offshore wind, wave energy, and so on. So the excitement of the conversion to 100% renewable energy production and distribution by merging transportation into it is obviously very exciting. That's what you should take out of this chapter.